Hello and welcome to the Period Prep Rituals Masterclass. I am your host, Brandy Oswald, the founder of Sauvage Wellness. I am a certified fertility awareness educator and menstrual cycle expert, and I am here today to share with you my favorite period prep rituals, practices to help you prepare for your period in a sacred, intentional way in hopes of easing PMS, decreasing cramps, and allowing you to have a positive period experience. Let's dive in. In today's training, we are going to cover the food and supplement rituals that I love to nourish the uterus, balance hormones, and support holistic cycle wellness. We'll also look at natural body treatments that allow us to have potentially lighter, easier, pain-free periods. And then we'll explore mindset magic practices to support mental health and mood as you prepare for your period each cycle. Before we dive into the specific rituals, I want to take a moment to explore the magic that is your menstrual cycle. Each month, when your period arrives, it marks the beginning of a new cycle and the close of another. It is a time of release and shedding. Your period is a letting go of what is no longer needed. Your body is so smart, so wise, so intelligent that it knows when and how to let go of a physical part of your body that you no longer need anymore. This letting go is what allows us to open up to growth, creativity, and rebirth. Without the shedding, this growth, this creation, this creativity, and this rebirth could not take place. We honor important stages of life that require us to let go of what is no longer needed in order to move forward. Things like graduations, moving to a new city, leaving or starting relationships. So, why then do we view our periods as anything different? And the answer here is that we shouldn't. Instead of ignoring our periods, cursing them, and wishing they would just go away, we have the beautiful opportunity to embrace them, to make this process of letting go easier, and to harness our periods to step forward in a whole new cycle of growth. It's time now to honor this vital process of shedding, of letting go that happens during our periods as crucial to our personal growth, crucial to our ability to move ourselves forward. And in order to really honor and embrace our periods, we can practice period prep rituals. Period prep rituals are intentional activities that allow us to honor our periods, to make the process of shedding easier, and to use our periods to move forward anew. Let's dive in now to 8 period prep rituals that could help you not only embrace your cycle and your period, but allow it to potentially be easier too. Now, the 8 practices I'm going to share with you are not an exhaustive list of period prep rituals, of course. These are just 8 rituals that I use and love. First up, we'll look at food and supplement rituals. We're going to look at 3. First will be a raspberry tea ritual, super, super simple to start off. Then we'll look at a seed cycling ritual, and then a nettle tea ritual. So up first, we have our simple raspberry leaf tea ritual. This is not to be confused with raspberry tea, red, sweetened, flavored types of tea. Raspberry leaf tea tastes more earthy, like green tea or black tea. It's unsweetened, unflavored, other than what naturally comes in the raspberry leaf. It has been long used in traditional cultures for menstrual cycle support and uterine health. And some women swear by raspberry leaf tea as a way to relieve period cramps, PMS, and discomfort associated with their menstrual cycles. My hot tip for using raspberry leaf tea as a ritual is to drink 1 or 2 cups a day during the luteal phase of the cycle. That is to say, the post-ovulatory phase, from ovulation to the start of your period. And then to continue with a cup or 2 a day during the early days of your period as well. Really nourishing and supporting that menstrual bleed. Next up, we have a seed cycling ritual. Seed cycling is the process of eating particular seeds in their ground up form as their nutrients align with the needs of the varying phases of the menstrual cycle. Seeds contain many nutrients that can support the menstrual cycle, including nutrients like zinc and vitamin E. So, how do we practice seed cycling? To practice seed cycling, we consume 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds and 1 tablespoon of ground pepitas every day from day 1 of the period to ovulation. That is to say, the follicular phase of the cycle. And then once we ovulate, we switch to consume 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds and 1 tablespoon of ground sunflower seeds from ovulation to the start of the period. That is to say, the luteal phase of the cycle. And why do we use these specific seeds? So flax seeds come with the benefits of phytoestrogens, which are plant-based compounds that can mimic our natural estrogen, though they have a weaker effect than our own natural estrogen. Flax seeds contain omega-3s and lignans, and these 3 compounds may be helpful in balancing and supporting estrogen leading up to ovulation, making sure we have enough estrogen for strong, healthy ovulation, but not too much estrogen that creates an awful period and hormonal imbalance symptoms later on. Then we have pepitas. Pepitas contain zinc, which nourishes the ovarian follicles inside of which our eggs are housed. Pepitas have that zinc, which also supports strong, healthy ovulation. Zinc can help increase progesterone levels in the luteal phase, which may ease PMS and heavy periods. And it does this, the zinc, by nourishing the ovarian follicles, which can bolster healthy ovulation. And then we make progesterone as a result of ovulation. So good, healthy ovulation may lead to those good, healthy progesterone levels, which balance out excess estrogen to create an easier period and PMS phase of the cycle. Zinc may also lower androgens like testosterone or DHEA that can cause acne, hair thinning, and PCOS-like hormonal imbalance symptoms. Next, we have sesame seeds. Sesame seeds also contain zinc, which again supports healthy ovulation and therefore healthy progesterone levels needed for easier PMS and periods. And lastly, we have sunflower seeds, which are high in vitamin E, which has also been said to boost progesterone levels. And for some folks, they notice vitamin E can ease up their premenstrual breast changes like tenderness and swelling. Now, a note on seed cycling. You'll want to buy unroasted or sprouted seeds, as roasted seeds do not retain as many nutrients as the raw seeds. You will want to store seeds in the refrigerator or freezer for freshness and grind them daily in a spice grinder when ready to use. Ground seeds are used for seed cycling because the seeds are better absorbed in their ground form. And I've included a link here to my sources and additional information if you're interested in learning how to start using the seed cycling practice on your own. And lastly, for our food and supplement rituals, we have a nettle tea ritual. Nettle tea ritual is a histamine reducing ritual. Histamine, the same thing that causes seasonal allergies and hives, can also F up our periods. Well, here's how. Histamine can lead to an increase in estrogen, and elevated estrogen can trigger even more histamine. What this means is that if histamine is high, so is estrogen. And if estrogen is high, especially after we ovulate, it's overpowering progesterone will likely have an increase in some of those hormonal imbalance symptoms leading up to our period. When this estrogen is high in comparison to progesterone in this luteal post-ovulatory phase, we might see things like raging PMS symptoms, including mood swings, food cravings, bloating, and heavier, longer periods. Histamine is also inflammatory. Think about those hives, right? They're raised up, inflamed bumps on the skin. And this inflammation, this histamine, can lead to an increase in period cramps and pain, because inflammation, right, can create pain in our bodies. Therefore, keeping histamine in check can be crucial for fewer menstrual cramps. So my hot tip on nettle tea is that nettles can have a natural antihistamine-like effect and can be taken in tea, tincture, or capsule form. I find that my body does best with the tea form of nettles. And so I drink 1 cup of nettle tea every day of my cycle, every day of the month. And I drink 2 cups of nettle tea a day in preparation for allergy season. So in the spring and in the fall, when my allergy and histamine symptoms go on the rise. Next up, we'll explore 3 body treatment rituals that can help you prepare for your period. The first is going to be a castor oil pack ritual. Then we'll have a Maya abdominal massage ritual, and we'll close with the yoni steaming ritual. So the castor oil packs ritual. Castor oil is an oil that's commonly used in topical wellness and beauty products that is said to promote circulation and lymph flow, as well as to clear and prevent stagnation. It's commonly used in non-Western philosophies and cultures like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. Castor oil packs applied to the lower belly over the womb space are said to help with creating easier periods by potentially regulating period blood flow, clearing stagnant blood, relieving menstrual cramps, and clearing menstrual clots. So how do we use castor oil packs? We soak a rectangular piece of organic cotton flannel in castor oil and place it over the lower abdomen with gentle heat applied from a hot water bottle or heating pad to support absorption of the oil. And we leave this on for about 30 to 60 minutes. And a note on castor oil packs. Firstly, the oil is thick and can stain fabric. So it's advised to wear an outfit that you're not in love with. You're okay if it gets stained. Second, castor oil packs are also commonly used over the liver to support detoxification, which in and of itself can have positive benefits on the menstrual cycle. And number 3, it's not recommended to use castor oil packs on days of menstrual bleeding. So instead, we tend to use castor oil packs in the weeks leading up to our periods. Next, we have the Maya abdominal massage ritual. Maya abdominal massage comes from the abdominal massage techniques of the ancient Mayans. It is a non-invasive form of bodywork that involves massaging the lower abdominal region and is said to support the uterus, the digestive organs, as well as to potentially improve lymph and blood flow. It's a really gentle practice. It's not painful, doesn't hurt, can be really soothing for some folks. My hot tip for Maya massage is that one of my favorite practitioners is a woman who runs a business called Adina Rose Ayurveda. Adina Rose is not only a friend of mine, but she's someone who I've worked with personally to learn this ritual. And once you learn this ritual from a trained practitioner, you can practice it at home on your own. They empower you with the technique so you can do it for yourself as often as you need. And last up for our body treatment rituals, we have the yoni steaming ritual. Yoni steaming is sometimes referred to as pelvic or vaginal steaming as well. Yoni steaming is the practice of steeping medicinal herbs in a large pot of warm filtered water and then squatting bare bottom over the pot with a blanket around one's legs to seal in the medicinal steam. You can even get little wooden stools with holes in the center made specifically for yoni steaming. So the pot of steaming herbs would go beneath the hole and you could sit undressed from the waist down over top of that opening in the stool with a blanket wrapped around you, creating this tent of medicinal steam. Some common herbs used in yoni steaming include calming herbs like calendula and rose, cleansing herbs like basil, rosemary, and oregano, and toning herbs like motherwort. Together, the medicinal herbs and warm steam are said to support blood and lymph flow, as well as to cleanse and tone the vagina and the uterus. Many women do report fewer menstrual cramps, fewer clots, and more regular periods as a result of steaming. Now, I want to mention that there is some dispute out there right now about whether or not the medicinal compounds of the herbs are actually able to seep through the skin and get all the way up to the uterus. There haven't been many, if any, scientific studies on the practice of yoni steaming because it's a very traditional practice from non-Western cultures, many of whom don't require scientific studies to believe that a ritual is working for them. And so we don't have a ton of information in the way of science on this practice. So is the medicinal steam, is the compound of the herb getting into the uterus? I don't know. I do know that the skin in the vulva region, that is to say, in the labia, the inner outer labia, the clitoris, the skin that surrounds the vaginal opening is all very, very, very thin. And so we worry about the chemicals on menstrual products, pads, tampons, on underwear, on clothing, because that gentle tissue is potentially absorbing those chemicals. And so if this is true with those chemicals, perhaps it's true with the chemical compounds of the herbs as well, especially as the steam supports that increased blood flow. We just don't know yet. And yet we do know that warm steam, warmth, increases the blood flow, gets things moving. And so at the very least, this practice is getting that blood flowing, improving the circulation in the pelvic region, which in and of itself could have a profound impact on the menstrual cycle. And lastly, what we know is that this practice is felt by so many. Many, many women report having much easier cycles as a result of using yoni steaming. And even those who don't notice a huge impact in their cycle may choose to continue with the practice because it's so beautiful. It truly makes us feel sacred, like a goddess, intentional, like a little self-care treat for our pelvic and vaginal space as we're gearing up for our period. And that's one of the reasons I most love this practice. And I will share with my own experience, since starting yoni steaming, I have noticed that I no longer have that dried, brownish colored blood at the beginning or end of my menstrual cycle. It has completely cleared up and is always that vibrant, hearty red menstrual bleeding color. So none of that stagnant type blood anymore since doing this ritual. And my periods have also gone from being 5 to 6 days long to being 3 to 4 days long. And who doesn't love that? So if you want to try yoni steaming at home, I've included a link here from practitioners who are trained in the yoni steaming process. I did not create this step-by-step guide. I did also include a link here to the handmade yoni steaming stool that I personally use for this practice. It was so intentionally, lovingly handcrafted, and that's why I want to share it with you. Lastly, here we're going to explore some mindset magic rituals as we prepare for our period. We'll look at brain retraining ritual and a womb meditation ritual. Brain retraining practices are mindfulness and neuroplasticity tools that rewire the brain's response to stress. This is important because stress leads to increased inflammation and hormonal imbalance, which can cause common PMS symptoms like cramps, acne, irritability, bloating, and even heavy or irregular periods. Brain retraining requires us to press pause in moments of stress and actively choose a new way forward. We draw upon past positive experiences, future positive moments, and calming self-talk to rewire a more positive habitual pathway for our brains to take during times of stress. So really, these brain retraining practices look like mindfulness meditations with very specific steps that are tailored to allowing us to rewire the brain's stress response pathway to de-escalate it. Brain retraining seems simple, and yet it has a powerful impact. I once worked with a client who struggled with debilitating cramps and endometriosis pain and spent most of her time lying in bed with heating pads. And in just 5 weeks of brain retraining work, she was almost entirely pain-free. Incredible from mindfully rewiring the stress response. If you're wanting to try a brain retraining practice at home, I've created this simple brain retraining guided meditation for you that you can click in the slide downloads. And lastly, we have the womb meditation ritual. Womb meditations are one of my favorite period prep rituals. When doing a womb meditation, we place our hands over top of our womb space in the shape of a uterus or an upside down triangle. Kind of looks like this when we place the hands there. And while we have our hands in this shape, we focus our attention on the womb space and sending loving thought and energy to the vagina, cervix, uterus, the uterine tubes, the ovaries, and the energetic space in and of itself that represents the womb. We spend so much time in our modern culture ignoring and cursing our wombs and our periods. And womb meditations are designed to help us reverse that and instead send a loving energy, compassion, and appreciation to our womb space, to our periods. With the womb meditation, we envision and feel the cycle that we want to have, rather than focusing on having a sucky period that holds us back, that's a burden. And two of the easiest ways to envision and feel the cycle that you want to have to promote this loving, compassionate energy in the womb space is to simply repeat 2 mantras. Thank you, and I love you, while resting the hands over top of the womb and meditating on this space, thanking her, telling her that you love her, sending her attention that is loving and gentle and compassionate rather than negative, burdensome, frustrated, full of contempt. And if you want to try womb meditation at home, I've also created a recording for you here. You can click this link to check out my guided meditation for better periods, which is a type of womb meditation. So the question is now, do you want to learn more about how to have easy, pain-free periods? The answer is yes. Then let's chat. I offer one-on-one sessions to teach you my better period protocol method. When you work with me, you'll get cycle tracking tools to help you know exactly where you are in your cycle so you can tailor these rituals right to your cycle. Cycle tracking tools that will allow you to spot any potential imbalances that need a little bit more nourishment and attention. And cycle tracking tools that allow you to live in alignment with your flow, to know which phase you're in and how you can best support it to create an easier period. And in these one-on-one sessions, we'll also create for you a personalized protocol to correct any cycle imbalances that we may see and allow you to tap into easier and more pain-free periods. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this better period protocol method, about working with me and truly about having a better period experience, then in the download version of these slides, you'll click here in the lower right-hand corner to set up a free call with me. And in this free call, it will be just you and I, and we'll chat about what you want your period to be like. What's holding you back and preventing you from having that type of period? And then clarifying the next steps that you need tailored to your cycle in order to move forward and actually get that better period. So if you're interested, click this link and let's chat, just you and I, to actually get you a period that feels easy and enjoyable. Now, that is all that I have for you as we wrap up the period prep rituals training. Thank you so much for joining me for this masterclass. It has been a pleasure to lead you through my favorite period prep rituals. If you have any questions, you can find me on the website at sauvagewellness.com or on Instagram at Sauvage Wellness, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have. Until next time, happy bleeding.